Hello, it's Jane here and welcome to yoga. Find a comfortable place to sit, either cross-legged or legs out straight or sitting on a blanket or a block. Closing your eyes, take a big inhale, sit your arms over your head. As you exhale, bring your palms to rest in your heart center. Now placing your left hand underneath your right and your thumbs touching. This is a hand gesture where we set an intention for our practice. So maybe something that you would like to feel at the end of this practice. And then plant that seed into your heart. And then take the arms outside, either side of your hips, swinging gently over to one side, softening the elbows and just stretching out that side. It doesn't matter which you do first, whatever feels natural. And then we'll swap sides and do the other. And then we'll take a nice easy twist, one hand behind the back, the other hand to the opposite knee, and we'll gaze over the hand behind the back. Swapping sides when you're ready, breathing nice and full and deep wherever you are. Now I'm just going to turn around so you can see me from the side. So we're going to do a forward fold with the legs outstretched, but we're going to bend the knees. Maybe place the hands behind the knees so it just softens the stretch on the backs of the legs so early in the practice. And just take a few breaths here. Really breathing into the back body, sides of the ribs. And then just slowly on an inhale coming up, taking the hands behind the back, fingers pointing to the front of your mat. And as you inhale, just lift the sternum. As you exhale, soften back. So you might want to adjust the hands. So as you inhale, we reach the heart forward. As we exhale, we soften back. Now you can stay with this one. Or as you inhale, press into the hands and the feet. Lift the hips. And maybe if the neck's happy, you could relax the head back, keeping a softness in the elbows. And then from here, we'll ease our way onto our back, bringing the knees into the chest, a nice little roll around side to side. And then we're going to take the soles of the feet onto the ground. Feet hip width apart, draw the right knee in towards you. Extend that leg towards the ceiling, holding on behind the thigh. And then start to scrunch the toes and spread the toes out nice and wide. And then slow circles, waking up the ankles. And then just taking that right ankle on over the left knee. Left hand on the hip, right hand on the right knee, and gently just easing the knee back and forth just to find a little space. So not pushing, just guiding. And then we'll come into a lying pigeon. So we'll take the hands around the back of the left thigh. And just keep that chin tucked in so there's no strain on the neck. So the left sole of the foot comes down and we'll twist over towards your left side. The arms over the head, or you can have them outstretched. Just a nice gentle twist. Breathing deep at all times throughout the practice. Drawing the knees into the chest, that nice little circle again. We'll do the same on the other side. So left knee comes in, and then starting with the scrunch and the stretches and the points and the flexes and the little circle with the ankles, just moving that foot in any way that feels so you're easing out kinks. And then when you're ready, we'll take that left ankle over that right knee, right hand on the hip, and inhale to guide away, exhale to soften back. A few rounds of these. And then we'll just take the hands behind the right thigh, draw that right knee in. Nice stretch on the outer left hip. And then we'll take the sole of the foot down to the mat, arms over the head, and we'll just roll the knees over to the other side this time. And slowly we're going to roll over onto the belly, come into downward facing Shavasana, making a little pillow with the hands. Feet hip width apart, so maybe your heels will roll out to the side, toes in. Just let everything soften, relax, breathe the belly into the floor. Now tuck the toes, and as you inhale, bring one heel towards the buttock, and then the other. So we're slowly stretching out those quads and those front hip flexors that can get a little tight, a little sore. And then when you're ready, we can stay with this one, or we'll stretch the arms out. And then we'll bend both knees. And then we'll just give nice big breaths into those hip flexors. Maybe the hands might reach towards the heels. If not, just rest the hands in the lower back. And then just bring the shoulder blades a little closer towards each other. If the hands reach easily to the toes, there's no strain on the knees. And just holding on to the ankles or the feet. And breathe into this stretch. And just keep the breaths going full and deep. You can feel the stretch as you breathe in and out. And then just maybe find a little more stretch, bringing the shoulders closer, maybe coming up onto the chin, a little lift in the head. And then maybe lifting those knees up off the ground, pressing the pelvis into the ground. So lots of variations from this stretch. Maybe we'll lift the knees higher, but never go to a place that is painful. It should feel a nice juicy stretch. Maybe you like to come into a bow now by lifting the chest and lifting the knees. Keep a softness in the elbows. Maybe a little rock back and forth. And then lowering the legs, hands under the shoulders. Inhale to all fours. And we'll come to tabletop pose with the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and have a little roll around. And softening the belly, sending the sternum forward for a cow pose. And then we'll move into cat pose by bringing the chin to the chest and rounding the upper back, pressing into the hands and the shins. And then inhale to our cow pose. Exhale into cat pose. And then from here we're going to take a downward dog to bring us to standing. Now if downward dog is a little too much this early on, just come to stand. So we bend the knees, just gently walk out your dog. And then we'll all meet at the front of the mat. So if you're in downward dog, we'll tiptoe the feet towards the hands. And then we'll slowly come to standing, bringing the head up last of all. If you've made your own way to stand, we're going to meet up in mountain pose. With the feet about hip width apart, hands by the side. And just gazing forward. So if you're in the downward dog one, maybe you'd like a little rag doll before we come up to that pose. If you're already in mountain pose, just breathe in nice and deep. Then we'll inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, we're going to come all the way up. And then bring the hands to the heart center. So a half sun salutation. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward so we hinge from the hips. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, soften down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale the hands down to the heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, lower down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale the hands down to the sides. And then we'll take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers to send the chin up to the ceiling. We could stay there. Or bend the knees, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Add a shoulder opener. Inhale halfway. And then just breathe into that back stretch. So we could take a few more of those halfway stretches. Or we could just stay there with the hands behind the back. And then we'll all meet in ragdoll, holding the opposite elbow. chin to chest as we roll up to standing. Inhale, arms all the way up. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. Exhale, we're going to step back to downward dog. Chin to chest, we're going to roll out to a plank, knees, belly, chest and chin lower. Inhale to a baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back to child's pose. Now we're going to work with sun salutations today, and we're going to add in a variation for each round that we do. So when you're ready, inhale back to all fours, tuck the toes, downward dog. Walk the feet towards the hands. Inhale halfway. Exhale lower. Inhale arms over the head. Exhale back to mountain pose. Inhale arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. This time we're going to step back to downward dog. Tuck the chin into the chest in a plank pose. The right knee comes down and the left arm reaches up for a side plank. Back to plank pose. We'll do the other side. Left knee comes down, right foot reaches behind, right arm reaches up. Back to plank pose. Knees, belly, chest and chin lower. Baby cobra. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And again. And one more for look. Then we're going to inhale up to all fours. Exhale back to child's pose. Breathing full and deep here. Inhale all fours. Tuck the toes, downward dog. Now we're going to tiptoe the feet towards the hands. We're going to inhale halfway. Exhale lower. Inhale arms all the way up. Exhale mountain pose. Inhale arms lift. Exhale bend the knees, fold forward. Step back to downward dog. Chin to chest, will roll to plank. Now you can take that half side plank with the knee down or a full side plank this time. You choose as we do both sides. And plank pose, knees, belly, chest and chin lower. Now this time we'll interlace the hands behind the back. Inhale, lift the chest, exhale, lower. Repeat that. And then maybe on this third round we'll lift the legs as well. You choose. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, child's pose. You can stay in child's pose or use downward dog as your resting pose this time. Keep a deep bend in the knees if you're in downward dog to stop the overstretch as we rest. When you're ready, tiptoe the feet towards the hands, halfway. Exhale, soften down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, the arms come up. Exhale, lower down. Hands on the floor. Step your right foot behind you. Lower your right knee. Just have a little sway side to side. Get into that hip flexor. Should feel really nice here. And then take the hands down. Step back to plank. And we'll do a side plank on the right hand first. So you can do either variation with the knee down or coming into a full side plank. Back to plank, lower down. You can choose your back bend, baby cobra, or interlace the hands behind the back. Take 3 rounds. And then when you're ready, inhale to all fours. Exhale to child's pose. Inhale all fours, tuck the toes. Step the right foot forward. Lower the knee down as if you're starting a race. Then step the back foot to meet the front foot. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, lower. We step the left foot behind us this time. Lower the left knee. And again, just swaying side to side to get into that hip flexor. We step back to plank. Side plank on the right hand again first. Any variation that suits you. Back to plank pose, lower down, knees, belly, chest and chin. 3 back bends, again, any variation to suit you. So we could do this practice many times, and listening to our bodies, it could be a very different experience. Inhale all fours, exhale child's pose. Nice deep breaths here. Inhale to all fours, tuck the toes, downward dog. And stay here for a few breaths. And then we'll step the left foot forward, lower the right knee. Step the back foot to meet the front foot. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands down beside you. And then just interlace the hands behind the back. Bend the knees, fold forward. So you could stay here or take a few of these halfway lifts. Inhaling halfway. Exhaling lower. And then come back to ragdoll. Just let the head hang heavy, a little sway side to side. So we're going to slowly come up to standing, and then we're going to take a balancing sequence. So I'll just turn around so you can see me. We're going to do tree pose and dancer's pose on each side. So you could take the hands to the heart center, you could take the hands up in the air, or you could take the arms out to the side. But take your right knee out to the side, leave your right toes on the ground and the heel just above the ankle to begin. And then maybe you'd like to slide the foot up to the standing leg. Choose your gaze point, something that's not moving. So it doesn't have to be a perfect tree. It should feel good. So as long as it feels as though you are balanced, breathing, that's perfect. And then maybe you'd like to move this into a dancer's pose by reaching that foot behind you, pressing the foot into the hand, reaching the heart forward. We're stretching out the quads as well as practicing our balance. Little back bend in that too. And then back to our mountain pose. So I'll just go back to the front of the mat. We'll do the other leg now. So taking the knee out to the side. And then just choosing the position for the hands. Choosing whether to keep the foot on the floor or slide the foot up to your standing leg. And remembering to keep the gaze steady and the breath will follow. And then possibly you'll stay with that, or maybe get into that, the quads a little more by taking a dancer's pose, pressing the foot into the hand. So we've really focused on shoulders, quads and back bends today for our peak pose that's coming up shortly. So we're going to stand in mountain pose. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale halfway this time. Exhale, step back to our downward dog, tuck the chin into the chest, and a plank pose. Now you can do the two variations of plank that we did before, knee down or side plank, or you could lift the top leg in the air. Breathing calmly, coming back to plank pose. Whatever you did on that side, let's do the same on this side. And then back to plank pose, knees, belly, chest and chin lower. So you could repeat baby cobra or interlace the hands behind the back, or you could bend the knees, reach behind for the feet. And you could do a bow pose, and you could do up and down on the in-breath and out-breath, or you could stay up and breathe deep. Yogi's choice. Frank is joining us. He's just going to have a quick downward dog before he settles for Shavasana. So we'll come back to a wide-kneed child's pose now with the big toes together, knees as wide as the mat, and prepare for our peak pose, which is camel pose today. That's why we've opened the quads, the back and the shoulders. Now there's lots of variations, only do what's comfortable for you. So we start kneeling. If that's uncomfortable, it can be helpful to put a blanket under the knees or behind the knees. If it feels uncomfortable, then just leave this out. Inhale to kneel up. First stage is we take the hands on the lower back, fingers pointing down, palms on the low back. Tuck the toes, give the toes a stretch. Then as we inhale, we send the hips forward. As we exhale, we lift the chest. We tuck the chin in, and this might be our camel pose, or we could feel behind, see if we can easily touch those heels. We could keep the chin tucked in, or we could lower the head back, stretch out the throat. Make sure it feels comfortable. As we inhale, the Hips come forward as we exhale, the sternum lifts. Calm, steady breaths in this challenging pose. And to come out, reach the hands up to the low back. Soften the hips down to the heels. Take a child's pose as a counter pose. And breathe. So if you feel your heart beating fast, back bends are energizing. The opposite of that are forward folds. So let's come up to all fours, do a few cat-cows, and prepare ourselves for our shavasana, our relaxation, with some forward folding. So coming to sit down, taking the soles of the feet together, knees out to the side, slide the toes forward to create a diamond shape with the legs. Hands can rest behind the back, so if it's uncomfortable on the back to reach forward, then you could stay there, or we could pour the torso forward over the legs. Hands on the feet, or resting on the calves, or maybe underneath the ankles. We're going to be here for some deep breaths. See if you can really extend your exhales. Now, if anyone is in the room and you don't feel silly, a really nice way to extend the exhales is Bhujangini, the snake breath. So you breathe in through the nose and hiss slowly through the mouth. When you're ready, on an inhale, come up and make your way onto your back. Rolling the knees around, taking the feet hip width apart. And we're going to do some pelvic tilts now. So as you inhale, the pelvis comes forward so that you could slide a hand underneath the low back. And as you exhale, you press your hand down and there's no gap. The back's pressed into the mat. So as you inhale, you roll the pelvis forwards, or tilt the pelvis forward. As you exhale, you tilt it back. And then you can stay with this one. Or as you inhale, press it into the feet, lift the thighs and come up to a bridge pose. You could take a couple of these, or you could take the arms over the head and lift the hips on the inhale, and the exhale, lower the back and the hands back down. So whichever you'd like to do. Yogi's choice, always. Maybe you'd like to stay up for a few breaths. Imagining you've got a ball between the knees and the thighs that you're trying to keep in place without dropping. On an exhale, slowly lower. Our final counter pose is sleeping butterfly. Soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. Breathing into the belly. Deep belly breathing now. Inhale. Exhale. And then we're going to make our way to our final resting position. So to safely come out of this pose, take the hands around the thighs. Gently guide the knees back together. Now you could take the legs out straight or take a constructive rest pose with the feet as wide as the mat, the knees rolling in towards each other. Hands can rest on the belly, by the sides or over the head. Chin tucks in so there's no strain on the neck. You've got a nice double chin there, resting the head. So let's just begin now by relaxing the body onto the ground. So all the places where your body's touching the ground, just let it sink a little deeper into the ground. Feel yourself supported by the floor. Visualize your muscles melting away from your bones. Now is the time to rest. Take a deep breath in through the nose and a long, slow sigh out of the mouth. Repeat this 2 more times. Now relax even more. Let go of any tension in the body. Let those thoughts rest a little while in the mind. Let's just allow this breathing body the chance to be still. Listen to the sounds outside your room now. Listen to the sounds inside the room. Listening to the sound of your breath. And now, let's notice the feeling of the breath. Notice your inhale. Notice the exhale. And now let's notice those points of stillness in between the in-breath and the out-breath. Tiny little pauses that make up part of our breath that we rarely notice but hold so much place to be calm, quiet, still, peaceful. So for the remainder of this relaxation, see if you can find those pockets of peace between the in-breath and the out-breath and the in-breath. Now very slowly start to deepen your breath. Wiggle fingers and toes. You might want to stretch, you might want to hug the knees in. Whatever you need to do before you roll over to one side, make a little pillow with your hands. See if you can keep your eyes closed and make your way slowly back to a comfortable seated position. Resting the hands on the knees or the thighs. And as you inhale, sweep the arms over the head. Bring the palms together. As you exhale, bring the palms to rest in the heart center. Rest in the right palm underneath the left palm, bringing those thumbs to touch. Recalling your intention for your practice. And then just notice how you feel now. Planting that feeling of peace and stillness and calm into your heart center. Reminding yourself that it's always there. When you're ready, ready, open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you.